Hello, good morning, all. Welcome to my Facebook Live. It is September already. We are in the last quarter of the year. And I don't know about you, but I know technically it doesn't start until like September 22nd, but man, it feels like fall when we start getting into September. I already bought Emma a pumpkin spice latte, so we got that going for us. So yeah, it's basically fall, let's be honest. So this month, my theme is going to be all about futures, and so we've got Brad today who's going to talk to us about long-term care insurance. We've got a senior living. We've got life insurance, or not life insurance, but we've got kind of afterlife planning as far as so we've got a bunch of cool, fun, interesting topics. More importantly, though, we've got fun and engaging people like my good friend Brad Rips with Northwestern Mutual. Hello, Brad. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Ben.
Absolutely. Brad, why don't you just take a couple of minutes, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, tell us a little bit about how you got started in this, and then you have to answer my very favorite question that I love putting people on the spot with, which is you have to tell me something not a lot of people know about you.
Okay. All right. I like it. All right. My name is Brad Rips. I am a comprehensive financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. I've been in financial services since about 2006. And my goal and my mission with my clients is to make sure that they have the confidence and comfort in their overall long-term financial plan. So I help clients look at their entire picture, make sure that their personal and professional goals are aligned. Do a lot of work with small and mid-sized businesses because I've run businesses myself. So I understand the challenges that business owners have, and then also the challenges that brings in the family space. So making sure those things align are critical, both in the short term and the long term. And I found that I came to this space largely because of getting snubbed by what I would call a wealth manager who only wanted to manage assets when I was in my early 30s, and my wife and I had our second kiddo and needed help, and that didn't go so well. And then when I would help business owners, had similar experience where wealth managers would tell them what a great business they had, but wouldn't talk to them until they sold the business. So my goal is to help people just in a range of areas and really plan their world and have confidence in what they're doing. And I think a lot of people have a lot of goals, but don't have a plan to actually attack them. So, and then your question on the spot. I think, very appropriate for this topic today. In the first year of our marriage, my wife and I had my wife's grandmother live with us for the last year of her life. She had taken care of my wife as a baby, and my wife had always said how meaningful that was in her world, and if she could ever return the favor, she wanted to do so. So timing worked out, and we did it, and I got some cooking instruction.
Nice. That's fantastic. Well, let's dive into to that topic. You already kind of touched on it a little bit. Give me some background. What is long-term care insurance? And Brad, I got to be honest with you. I'm only 34 years old. Why should I care?
Nice. That's a good lead in. Well, I think it's better to break it out into two pieces. First, let's start out with what is long-term care, and then the insurance part. So long-term care in and of itself is defined as their services provided to individuals suffering from a chronic illness or disabling condition or cognitive impairment. And I think another piece is these services are often not necessarily meant for, may not cure or heal the patient. These may be kind of end of life type of stuff. And so I think that's an important piece for people to understand what it is. Long-term care insurance is really just a reimbursement vehicle. And I think that's something that people don't always understand is they think it's like car insurance, where there may be a deductible, but then the insurance company pays your auto shop or whatever to fix the car. In this case, in most cases, you come out of pocket and then they reimburse you for it. So that the insurance company reimburses you for it. So I think that's that's the piece. We can get into a few more details there, but I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah, no, I think that covers it. And so then, kind of how does it work? I understand that I come out of pocket with it, and then I get reimbursed for it. But are there what would you say is the biggest misconception of long-term care? Let me put it that way.
Well, you kind of led in with a good one saying, oh, I'm 34. Why do I care about it? I think the biggest misconception is it's only for old folks. And I think that's a misconception, because it's one of those things, like most insurance, in that when you really need it, you can't get it. So you had to have planned for it ahead of time. So that's one piece to it. The other piece is, and I hear this all the time from clients, they say, well, I'm never going to live in a nursing home, so therefore I don't need long-term care insurance. And what I tell clients is, you just told me you want long-term care insurance, because what it actually does is, for the most part, well put together policies actually cover in-home care, as well as different kinds of assisted living and full-blown nursing home care. So most people don't wake up one morning and need to go to a nursing home. It's a slow progression. And so by having the coverage, you're more inclined to use it, which is critical for married couples, because if you don't have the coverage, then it usually falls on the healthier spouse to be the primary caregiver. And that can really be detrimental to both parties. So having that and prepared for it really makes sense. Now, you hit on a good point from an age standpoint. There have been a lot of changes in the long-term care insurance industry, just with the increase in health insurance costs. There used to be just standalone long-term care insurance, which was a use it or lose it. Those type of policies, usually clients would start getting interested in those in their late 40s, early 50s. Now, those still exist, but there's a larger movement to putting long-term care as a rider on certain types of life insurance. So it becomes what's called a living benefit. And you're able to use those a little more efficiently. And so because of that, people are buying those policies and using those as part of a financial plan much earlier. Late 30s, early 40s, those really come into play.
Okay, so I heard you say living plan, and somebody else in the chat just asked a really good question along those lines. What happens if you pass away before using the benefit then?
So as I mentioned, there's two types of policies. One is the standalone policy, and that is a straight use it or lose it. If you pass away without needing the care, call it a win in a lot of ways, but those benefits just go away. There are some that have some maybe return of premium potentially to your family, to your beneficiaries, things like that. Sometimes there's a small residual value, but not always. That's why there's been a much bigger movement to this rider on top of or a part of a permanent life insurance policy. When you do that, then it becomes an option. If you don't use it, your family gets the benefit. If you do use it, then you're not having to come out of pocket the same way for how expensive long-term care can really be.
Okay. So then, we keep talking about life insurance, and I know oftentimes for the life insurance, well, if you guys have any questions about life insurance, Brad is also your guy as well. Just a quick little segue there. But do you have to qualify in order to purchase long-term care insurance policies like you do sometimes with life insurance?
Yeah, it depends on the size and the company you go through and the type of policy. Usually there's some basic medical records, and what's interesting are cognitive tests. They're really looking for issues with cognition, which are some of the leading uses of long-term care insurance. So the biggest thing I have to tell my funny clients is, please don't be funny with the questions. They're these really they are silly questions, and they beg for smart aleck responses. And please don't.
Okay, now I have to ask, what is one of the questions and what is one of the craziest responses you think somebody has given that they should not do? We'll use this as a bad example.
Yeah, well, they change up the questions, and I haven't gone through it in a little while, but they're they often ask you to remember numbers, a couple numbers that they'll say at the front, and then ask you to say those at the end 10 minutes later, and then sometimes they're around medication use, or I'm trying to remember, and I don't have one right off the top, but they just often beg for a smart aleck response of, well, of course I do that. I mean, it's like, would you step into an elevator without if you saw the elevator wasn't there and it was just a shaft? Like, I mean, of course I would, right? I mean, it just leads itself to a silly answer that would hurt your cause. Let's put it that way.
Uh-huh.
So
I love that. And I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of my audience is a very similar personality to me, and you know who you are. I'm looking at you specifically. And a lot of my audience is very quippy and very sarcastic, and we would absolutely say things like, "Yeah, I tumbled down that elevator shaft, no problem, no big deal." So that's great that you mentioned that. Well, is there anything else that we haven't asked, or anything else that you want to share that you think would be prevalent to this conversation?
I think that it's important to look at the long term for clients and see how any insurance they purchase plays into the overall plan. And so I highly encourage folks to speak with somebody who's comprehensive in nature, who can look at the assets, can see how those will grow, can see how those are part of the plan, and then how to manage other risk factors. There are clients where it just doesn't make sense to have long-term care coverage, and for some it makes a lot of sense. So it deals with family structure, legacy planning. The folks who come to me who are most adamant about getting it are those who have really seen the negative side of it with family. Making sure you take care of your own stuff is really important. And those who've had to pay for parents, to go through, services or to get care where you want them to be taken care of. You don't want them to suffer. And we never know. We don't get to pick when this stuff happens. And I think being proactive with financial plan is the best thing you can do. I mean, the stats are really frightening out there. I think the average American spends something in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 times more time per year on their haircuts alone versus their financial planning. So, make sure it looks good, but you got to think of other things too.
Wait, so are you telling me, Brad, that there's not just a one-stop-fit-all kind of financial plan where I can just Google it and, there's a certain famous Fox character from Disney that can help me invest in my financial future? You're telling me I actually have to have some kind of plan going forward for this stuff?
Well played, my friend. Yes, there are, and in my book, everybody deserves access to a financial plan, and it may take time for how it all gets implemented. But I think there just isn't a cookie cutter. There are no just you have to do this or that because of your age, your size, your income level, family structure, any of those pieces. There's just too many pieces that come into play, and the goal is to make sure people have their stuff in order. So.
I love it. Brad, thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I know that there was a bunch of stuff that I got out of it, and I very much appreciate your time.
Good.
And honestly, guys, Brad is absolutely amazing. I do network with a lot of financial planners, and there are some not so good ones out there. And I've talked to some of them, and they say, "Oh, well, I will only help you if you have X amount of money." And I'm like, I got 4 kids. I don't have X amount of money. My money is going out the window right now. But I sat down with Brad, and he truly just has this heart where he's like, hey, I just want to help people. I will help anybody. I will talk to anybody. I don't care if they're 18 years old, just starting out and getting into the business. I want to set them up for a plan, just like I want to help the person that's, about ready to retire and has a whole book of assets. So if you're just starting out and everyone else is telling you no, please give Brad a call and have a conversation with him. He's absolutely fantastic, and I know he will take care of you. I wouldn't have him on if he wasn't going to. So.
Well, thanks, BK. Sure appreciate it. Career changers are big in the space right now because they have all sorts of questions. So, yeah, great.
Cool. And to the rest of you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got some value out of it like I did. As always, interest rates are really, really low, and we're able to help you with a purchase or refinance. So if you know anybody who wants to save a little bit of money that they can then use to invest in some of the things we've been talking about today, hit me up. I'd be happy to take care of that. And we've already got September covered as far as the theme. The October is covered as far as the theme, but I'm looking for November. So drop a comment below about what you want to learn more about and what you think I can make a theme around for these Facebook Lives. I love these Facebook Lives. I enjoy doing them, and I hope you get some value out of it too. So if you do, also hit that like and share button, all that kind of good stuff. So with that, I'm going to say peace out. Thank you, guys.